All right, guys, before we get started, just want to talk about something for a second. Today is sort of a special day in my life. Today is the first day in the last basically almost 5 years now that I woke up and I don't have to deal with graduate school. Yesterday was my last day of graduate school, and that's kind of a big deal for me. I started that journey back in 2016, and I honestly didn't know if I was going to finish it. One of the things I struggle with is self-doubt, and I know a lot of people struggle with different things. One of the things that I personally struggle with is self-doubt a little bit. You know, when I take on an endeavor, I always, doubt myself whether I can do something like that, especially with education, because I've always kind of struggled with that to a degree. Even though I've always been very interested in a lot of things, I wasn't the best student in high school, and but I stand here today as someone who is now, I hold 4 college degrees, and that's insane because I look back and I think nobody saw that in me when I was like in high school coming up, because I was just sort of a bare bones student. I wasn't very interested in most of the things that people wanted to teach me in high school, other than outside of like history and English, which I was really good at. Outside of that, I had no use for any of that stuff. And I think a lot of people today are what I would refer to as the living embodiment of potential energy. There's a lot of people out there that are just like a big boulder sitting on a cliff, just waiting to be set loose. But there's something in their life holding them back from whatever that is. And I think for a lot of people, it's fear. Fear of failure, fear of being judged for failing, or just fear in general, self-doubt. And the moment you can get past that stuff and not focus your energy on those things and focus on what you want to accomplish, man, once you get started down that hill, there's just like no stopping you. Most people just don't understand, I think, or realize the potential that they have in them for the things that they can accomplish. They've always been just told to be this or be that, or go do this because someone else did it. And you don't have to follow that path. There's more inside, I think, of most people to be able to accomplish things and change their lives and change the world around them more than they realize. And man, when I graduated high school, I didn't think I would be where I am today. If you'd have told me I would have 4 college degrees, I'd be a veteran, and I'd have my own business and run a YouTube channel, I'd have laughed in your face. I would have. I'd have never believed you. But if I can do that, and I'm an idiot, and I'm really not that smart. I really have, like education, stuff like that, I really have to work at things. I have to put my face in that stuff and really delve into it to understand it. But if I can do it, if I can start my own company, finish graduate school, do a YouTube channel, and try to, successfully maintain a long distance relationship over the last 2.5 years since, Misty and I have been apart. I've been here doing this and she's been back in Atlanta. Man, you can do it. You can do almost anything that you want to accomplish. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying there won't be sacrifices, but just know that, today is just such a crazy day, because that process of finishing graduate school has consumed my life almost for 4 out of the last 5 years. I didn't take any classes in 2020, but it really has, and it's been a journey, it's been a process, and I'm kind of in awe that it's over with, honestly, because I didn't think when I started I would be here, but I am. So take it from me, just my words of wisdom and encouragement for what they're worth today. And I appreciate everybody watching the channel, for all the comments, all the support, everything that you guys do, you know, just for watching, giving me your time. The fact that you guys want to watch me just cut brush and dig holes, that's truly an honor to me that you guys take time out of your day to watch, and I appreciate it. So let's get to the video. All right, guys, it's Sunday and we're back at it, and a little irritated this morning because it was supposed to rain pretty much all day yesterday, and I don't think we got much more than like a drizzle. And I didn't work yesterday because they said thunderstorms and rain and all that stuff that was supposed to be rolling in around noon. So I didn't want to just bring this thing out here, you know, just to only get in a couple hours worth of work and then get rained out. And I was kind of hoping for some rain. It would kind of beat down some of the dust, and it is a little wet, but we got nowhere near as much as I thought. So it's Sunday and I'm back out here, and I'm gonna try to get this corner as my main objective today here, or this corner through here, finish clearing the rest of this out, and then try to work my way down and get all this through here. So the only thing hopefully I'll have left is just that back corner back there on that hill. So I'll try to get in about 6 hours today on this, 6-7 hours, and we'll see what we can grind up and get done. So fueled the machine and grease this thing. You have to grease this thing. It has 2 bearings in it, and they told me to grease it about every 4 hours. So you got a grease port here, and then you got a grease port right here, and then you got to put about 5 shots of grease in it about every 3 or 4 hours is what they told me. So otherwise you will burn these bearings up in here. As a matter of fact, when I went over there to get this thing, they had another one of these that was basically they had taken it apart because the bearings wore out in it, because whoever had it said he rented it out to somebody to go work out on some property. They had it for like a week or 2, and they never greased the bearings in it, and it burnt the bearings up in it. So bad news there. I did sharpen the teeth this morning, at least on the ones that kind of needed it. I didn't film that just because it was my first time sharpening and I didn't want to look like a complete idiot. But all you really got to do, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm gonna get down here and let you take a look from the underside. All you really have to do is just kind of touch the grinder to the bottom side of these teeth and just clean that up right there. It's pretty quick. I got a little DeWalt cordless, one of the brushless 4-inch grinders, and I put a 60 grit flap wheel thing on it, and that seemed to do the trick really well. Took you know, enough to grind this metal down, but not so aggressive that it'll get it real hot and take too much metal. So just perfect on that. That worked really well. It was a little tight because this raker here, between this raker and then trying to get in here, was a little tight, but it worked out okay. And they give you a little tool. I'll show you that real quick. It's on my keychain so I don't lose it. But they give you this little tool similar to like the ones for the Dennis Seamoth. They give you this, and it kind of helps you keep your angle when you're sharpening. But honestly, you don't really need it that much, especially in the beginning. I mean, you might need a little more as you wear these down, but for the most part it's pretty self-explanatory. You can kind of see when you put the grinder to it what the angle is there as you grind along it. So it's pretty self-explanatory. So I don't think I'm going to time lapse anything today. I'm just going to try to play around. I'll do some different stuff with the GoPro, maybe try to stick the GoPro on this thing somewhere and let you guys get sort of an up close and personal view of some grinding and stuff. We'll mess around with it. I'm gonna do some different stuff. I'll put you guys in the cab with me and we'll have some fun today. So let's get to it. All right, guys, we're getting started with this corner right here. I'll try to just touch vines here a little bit. This thing does really good with the vines. A lot better than the rotary head at cutting the vines. kind of trading efficiency to a degree where I'm more efficient getting in between some of this timber, but I'm not efficient in some of the more open areas. So if you averaged it out, it would probably be about the same time-wise if you were just here doing this by yourself, like me. Now, if you got more than one person here helping you, that's different. Obviously, your efficiency increases with
can't imagine what one on like a, you know, a 140 or a 160 or one of the bigger ones with it, you know, has a dedicated power pack on it. I can't imagine what that's like. Woo! Real.
gloriousness. So here's where we're at. Got all this front done, and I was able to I was really worried about this hill here and how I was going to attack this embankment. Luckily, I'll walk around over here. I was able to come down through here and squeeze just down the side of it and get pretty much most of it. There's a couple things in here I'm gonna have to get by hand, that little pond and a couple other little ponds there. Well, what was cool was the cutter was feeding, so the face of it, the open face was facing this way. So what happens is I was able to take that stuff, and when it's whatever way the open face is facing, it wants to shoot stuff back out from underneath it. So I was able to kind of just take all that stuff that was right here and just kind of suck it back into the mulch and throw it all back that way. So nothing really got thrown out in here into the road, and luckily there wasn't a whole lot of cars, so I was kind of able to cut when nobody was going through here. A couple of little things I'm gonna have to get by hand right there, a couple little gums, but for the most part this is all done. And I got to right here coming along, and I got to this big cottonwood tree, and that kind of got me fouled up. I couldn't go up this bank, so I was able to come around and get started in this little corner here. There's not much left, so a little bit of handwork tomorrow, consolidating this stuff. The John Deere over at Flint is ready. It just had a relay issue. I knew that's what it was. So we'll walk through here, but there's a couple little, like I said, some hand stuff and some bigger stuff I got to pick up and consolidate. But for the most part, the majority of this is done. We really just, all we got left to do is a little bit of handwork, consolidate some of this bigger stuff so I can grind it down with the skid steer tomorrow and finish this little corner, and that's it. The only other problem here was I threw a track on the Mini on the front idler. I got it back on. Luckily, getting tracks on and off this thing is pretty simple, but I ran out of grease. I didn't have enough grease to tighten it up the whole way. So luckily Lowe's is just down the street and they're still open, so I'm gonna run and go get another tube of grease and we'll tighten this thing up. Oh man, I just ran out right before it was starting to really get tight. So I was on my last tube of grease. I just changed it out after lunch. I put some grease in the bearings in that thing after lunch, and I threw a little bit in, a couple shots in. One of these was squeaking, so I threw some, which was weird because I had just greased it like 3 or 4 hours before I started early in the morning, but one of these was squeaking. Could have been one of those in there, so I pumped some grease in there. But yeah, so we'll go do that. We'll get out of here for the day. It's like 5:30. I gotta get out of here. So that's that. We're just about done. I'll finish all this up tomorrow. Barring any major unforeseen complications, and this job will be D-O-N-E. I'll be glad. So, all right, I'll get some footage out here tomorrow of me finishing this up, and we'll see how it looks. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.